Tell a friend to tell a friend she's back for the first time since the last time you and I had spoken on here. The Patriots were just getting ready to play the Los Angeles Chargers, and what resulted in two home playoff games. Sophie traveling out to Denver, Colorado. Sophie spending a week out in San Francisco / Santa Clara, California. And after months of illness and months of scheduling, we finally got her back on.
The illness was the worst part of it all.
I'll be
Super
honest with
Bowl, I will take any day over being stuck in bed for 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I also remember too because McGarvin and I had to do the referendum 2 days after the game, and I was almost like, I could message her, but I'm like, I'm gonna get a just a please no, like very
Let me
nice
sleep.
words message of like I need my sleep. So him and I were just like, we're letting her sleep.
I can't believe it's been that long. We're not going that long again. I refuse to let that happen.
No, no, no. And we were gonna go last night, but Sophie had to go witness a VJ Edgecombe masterclass at the Garden. So,
Can we not talk
um,
about it?
hey, Raptors are down 2-0, so I don't really have anything else to say. So that's all I got. But no, we were expected to be joined tonight also by McGarvin, but some stuff came up with him. He sent me a full. I'm not going to give away his number, but he has sent me this full paragraph for those of you watching of his basically for takes. It just is for takes, and he sent me this whole paragraph of stuff. But we're gonna get
That
started.
washing machine gets fixed real soon, McGarvin. That's what he's working on.
Yes.
He has to help his mom fix the washing machine. He's
Eh,
got this.
Yeah,
Everyone send good wishes to McGarvin right now.
we will. We definitely will. Um, Want to take things off to a non-football standpoint first, because obviously, look, Patriots have been in the news the last couple of weeks. But I had said something to him yesterday that I wanted to wait till you and I were on here to mention. And everyone, I know Ben Volen wrote a really angry piece about like how they worded the press conference. My opinion on it is that they did it purposefully because otherwise you were getting the circus to Gillette Stadium. This way you have the correct people in the room to, hey, we said what we said, but you were there. That's what I think. Hey, you know what? They just snuck it. Like, the sneaky in and late sneaky, yes. Is it a PR masterclass? Also, yes. I think they're doing it because otherwise you would have these bigger non-football outlets trumping our wonderful friend who's back on the show with us today. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But you were there in the new facility. So one, how did everything go? And two, how is the new facility?
New facility is beautiful. I'll start with that. Two, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I think you hit the nail on the head. What I will say is that I think that this whole entire thing I respect that he took yesterday to speak to us simply because the first time we were supposed to speak to Mike was going to be the night of the draft. And that is not the point of the draft. Like when they make that pick at 31 overall, if they do and don't trade back, but regardless, when these players get picked, it's a life-changing night for them. It
Yep.
should not be about these photos published by the New York Post. And so that's why I do respect him just taking a moment. I also respect the fact that he could have come out sooner. And he said that he did not want to speak to us until he spoke to his own players. I think that is valid. That is a good coach as well. Don't let your players read your statement besides the preliminary one. Like you have to address this. And I think it was Breer who had a report that was like he came off very genuine in that conversation with his players where he took, he's just like, got to make good decisions. That's exactly what he said to us. So all I'll say on that is I'm so ready for the story to go away. Like not simply because I'm brushing it under the rug, simply because this is a personal matter. And it's time in the media, but like I'm focused on the draft.
Yep, we all
I'm
are.
focused on the players that are going to make the Patriots better, the players that can hopefully help them get back to the Super Bowl. And I just, think that considering that outside of just like this personal matter that ethically might not be, is why the reason people are talking about it, I would much rather talk about football and talk about this team. I just don't think that this needs to get as much airtime as it has been getting.
Yeah, no, it's just it's dominated the headlines the last few weeks. Obviously, it came out right after the owners' meetings because we all know that time. But unless you're a psychotic draft nerd or you're focusing on your team, the last few weeks it's really a nothing burger for a lot of football people out there. That's what it really is. But I was also listening yesterday to Pro Football Talk, and they had Tom Curran on NBC Sports Boston, and he said the same thing you said. We weren't going to hear from him probably till 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, assuming you'll be at Gillette for that or in the New Balance Center. Where
I
I will have to add to. I loved how everyone I hated how everyone was making a big deal about him not being at the pre-draft one. But my bigger takeaway from the pre-draft one is the fact that look, there's always photos that get posted. You see a bunch of stuff, and then I see a photo of reporters, and it's a bunch of guys, just like vests, dress shirts. And then as I keep looking down the aisle, I notice a brunette wearing a oversized crew neck and yoga pants, and I'm like, that's our Sophie. But nonetheless, though, with the story, though, yes. And also, I've seen people
game day. I don't dress up unless it's game day or we got like a special event. I'm going.
I know. I'm just saying, I loved it. How it's just like you see them like the borderline finance bro technique, where it's like the dress shirt, the vest, and all that stuff, or just like golf shirt and dress pants, and then there's just Sophie from she wearing her concert gear, kind of like a kid, like we all did when we were kids back in the day. I remember going to, like, you'd go to a concert the next day.
I literally was wearing a concert sweatshirt.
I know. I follow you on social media. I know all about your.
I know where I was.
No idea who the person was, but you looked like you had a fun time. So there's that.
No, I do want to quickly comment on the whole thing with him not being at the pre-draft meeting.
He never was supposed to be there. That was my big point about people getting mad about that.
He
That's
never
a
was.
GM
And
thing.
I understand. This is the thing. A lot of people, like, I made that post on social media, and the comment section was so. I got some interesting comments that went up on the bulletin board for one day to look back on and be like, well, you said this about me, but now look at me. Because we all have those. But some of the comments were just so nasty and so bad. But here's my take on the whole thing, because I couldn't really convey this over, Twitter. You get however many characters. But my whole thing is, last year to me made sense for Mike to do the pre-draft press conference. He was a new head coach. Mm-hmm. He hadn't really had much time to work with Elliott Wolf. So this really was his team. He was coming in to take over. He was coming in. Yes, Elliott was like the GM, but it was Mike's team last year. I feel like they've now had so much time to work together that Elliott has really honed in on his role in this de facto GM role that and also there's that level of trust that's been built over the year of getting to work with, Elliott, seeing what he's capable of, seeing the talent, knowing what he's looking for, but also he knows what Mike's looking for. That was actually something Elliott said in his press conference, was like, there have been guys that we brought in for pre-draft visits that we talked to them, are like, oh, Mike's gonna like you. I'm like, that Elliott probably couldn't say that last year, but he now knows his coach. So to me, that switch of having Mike talk last year, Elliott this year, made logical sense. Just people weren't looking at the logic of it because of the scandal. So there's Stan. But yeah, speaking before and he said it, he's like, I want this to now be the focus on the draft. He said exactly what I said, which is like, the players, when they get drafted, it should be the focus on them. This is an exciting night. It should not be focused on a photo New York Post posted that's about my personal life.
Yes. I just needed to mention the other part too, because like I said, it's been so long, so we're like holding certain things in, kind of like how, how during Super Bowl week I text McGarvin being like, I swear to God, every time I go on to Twitter, it's Sophie with another ex-football player, another ex-Patriot, or in the case of what made my wife very jealous, Boston Rob. But no, it just to put a bow on this all, like, tomorrow night, look, there's takes about the draft that I always have, where it's like, a lot of these guys, they're not going to pan out, but you don't mention that in the moment. You basically just say, hey, it's the greatest night of your life. You're getting drafted. Boom, 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 boom. Doesn't have to do with anything about, hey, personal stuff with the coach. There's also people saying that he should be investigated, when in reality, if you're going to investigate coaches or players for cheating, God knows how many people would have been taken down years and years in and out.
We put the focus on domestic assault before we put the focus on investigating cheating.
No, Sophie, because or the Chiefs wearing the free 4 shirts last year, when he was a very that one always bothered me, because I'm like, you're lucky you didn't kill people and you're in jail.
The NFL is so skewed on what that's just, I'm gonna leave it at that.
There's a massive double standard that we all know, but we're here to have fun and talk about the draft. And I'm gonna rip this Band-Aid off of this long paragraph from Juan McGarvin. Love the incoming AJ edition. Philly fans to be damned. he has some receipts he's going to be cashing in on June 1st and 2nd, which I might be calling you guys in for, like, sound like the emergency. I'm going to be like, you know, ring the bell, sound the alarm. We got to talk. Um, you think, and this is one too, because I've been wondering where you are on this too. I do think Keishon Boutte is probably going to be gone at this rate, whether it is to Philly.
I would agree.
There was that weird Drake Silver account, I don't know if it was real or not, tweeting about Kyle Pitts to the Patriots where Boutte could be going the other way. I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Would I love Kyle Pitts and the Patriots? Absolutely. But he is tagged. I don't think Atlanta's moving off from him.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, although McGarvin's been saying he's been gone for about as long as the three of us have known each other. So there's that. Pop
Garvin could say I told you so when that happened.
Yes. Pop might stay, question mark. I always have said he's just going to take a cheap whatever deal. Like, look,
I think he should stay. I'm on the Pop. I think Pop Douglas has
see him yesterday? Did you interact with him yesterday?
I did not. He was courtside. I was clearly not. I don't have NFL money to be courtside. I had my dad got the tickets money. No, here's my thing with Pop Douglas is I think he hasn't reached his full potential. He has had a different offensive coordinator, different head coach every single year he's been on the Patriots. This is going to be the first time that he's had Josh McDaniels for 2 seasons. Continuity. And I like this idea of seeing him more involved in the offense because I really think he is a weapon for them. I think he's kind of that hidden gem that teams aren't going to cover the same level that if they acquire A.J. Brown, they're going to cover. Romeo Doubs is going to get covered pretty well. But that could leave Demario Douglas just sitting in the open field. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he can do something pretty special with it if he doesn't trip over himself, which is a running joke. But I think we haven't fully seen what Demario Douglas is capable of simply because he hasn't had this continuity. He hasn't had the ability to truly show.
Yep.
He's been so focused on learning a new playbook every year. I know a lot of people are saying like, they want him gone. I think this is the year to judge that.
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to have this standout year because I don't know. I want to see him in action. I want to see these OTAs. I want to see, how he's coming along. But I just think that let's not judge him off of what's happened in the past. Now is the time. This is his year to prove it. And I think that he knows that.
And because also too, he is a 6th round pick. Everyone's, I feel like he's that guy you're waiting for him to get somewhere. We're like, hey, we know what you're capable of. We just need the right coach to put you in the right position. We'll see where that is though. But there's that. But then that's the thing. We don't know what the role is, especially if you kick Dobbs into the Z, who would bump inside frequently, because that's the McDaniels offense. Although him and I are on the same page because we both think Kyle Williams stonks, to use his wording, are up. Because look,
well, with Keishon Boutte gone, yes. If Keishon Boutte leaves and Kyle Williams becomes your deep ball threat.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on what happens with another acquisition. Sorry.
Yes. No, well, and going on the AJ Brown thing before we because like I said, we got a lot of McGarvin to cover. With the AJ Brown one, everyone's kind of saying how it's like they're holding the Patriots like kind of like at bay with this one, or they're the ones being held hostage. Where I think it's more Philly's being held because Philly knows that we can trade him whenever, but we're literally the Patriots are being nice and saying, hey, we're going to give you the time because we don't want to screw you over financially, even though there's what's going on in Philadelphia right now really shows that what the Patriots did for 20 years was special because you would never hear of stuff like this, of frustrations, especially management. Because like we all know, when they drafted Garoppolo in 2014, I don't know what your football knowledge was at that time. Like not football knowledge, but like your football fandom. Like obviously you'd probably be judging off now you're 25, so you'd probably be like, I don't know, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Sophie at that time was the football.
I wasn't as nutty as I am, but I knew football.
Okay. But at that time, though, when they draft, because look, they went to the Super Bowl, Brady wasn't MVP, but then it was kind of just iffy there. The two AFC, it's still weird. He goes to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row, loses both, and then they're like, hey, we got to bring in Garoppolo, which lit the fire to win 3 more. Philadelphia, like at the time, is going through something similar because now you're starting to hear these weird reports with Jalen Hurts. Him and I have the same take of Nick Sirianni. Look, he's won a Super Bowl and he's been to 2, but they still want him fired. Meanwhile, in New England, we have the best season ever, and we would kiss Mike Vrabel's feet if we could get the chance to. Or, yeah, but that's just the thing I have to say about that. And then because and also going back up, because with Kyle Williams, there is room on the field, though. If you get Williams, Dobbs, and AJ as a personnel grouping, don't think he'll be a full-time guy this year, though. But the one player he pointed out who I want to see got to figure out who's a way for this guy to get on the team is Efton Chisholm.
Oh, I love Efton.
You called me unhinged when I said I said something about like God forbid you let a white boy get motion. I think it was basically just when him and Drake were hooking up in that in the Charger game, and you're just like unhinged. And like I'm looking at that, I'm like, girl, get to like I'm like, okay, cool. She sees my stuff, she appreciates my stuff, but that's the part of there. He thinks they draft a receiver Friday. I also think they add a receiver, but I did look up your mock draft while you were writing another article and keeping me waiting.
I'm sorry.
I do think they take a running back. I do think that's a given. But I also think they take a quarterback, but I think they wait till earlier than the 7th round. I think they take one like probably round 4 or round 5, somewhere in that range there. And everyone's going to, but here's the thing though, McGarvin said this too. It's not really, I feel like once you get past round 4, it's not really early anymore. I feel like the first, I would consider the first 3 days, the first 3 rounds, early. Because if you think about draft coverage for the average person, look, everyone's going to be tapped in tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the six are tapped in Friday night. I may not be, just because obviously, look, it's different this year when your team doesn't suck. The draft's not as compelling. And then Saturday is for the true sickos. You kind of check in, to see, hey, more or less you're following what's your team doing. Because at the end of the day, draft coverage is just a pretty much more talk show than guys getting drafted. Or, you're going to go watch, hey, here's a kid in Mexico drafting. Here's a fan group in Spain drafting. Here's Sophie's relatives in Copenhagen. They're going to make the pick for the Patriots. Just, that whole thing where they're trying to add the international expansion. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see Rams in Australia or wherever this year for that. So day 3 is more for just like the general, like, hey, we want to see what my team does, because that's just plugging in the holes. And then the only other thing too, and he hopes they draft an edge. I do too, because I know I've seen a lot of people talk about tackle, but after hearing Daniel Jeremiah today, there's only really, and defense, I think offensive tackle and defensive tackle, there's only a handful of guys who I think are going to be true, like, at like that big level, like, hey, you can plug them in and start day 1. Because I'll say this, the Patriots with offensive line in the draft this year, you don't need to go rush and draft an offensive tackle. I know everyone's saying, oh, kick Campbell in. No, Andrew Callahan had a great point after the Super Bowl. You are not taking the 4th overall pick from a year ago and kicking him in because of one bad game.
Shouldn't have to. I don't think Will Campbell should be kicked in. I think he showed flashes of being a very good tackle. He never truly was able to recover from the injury.
Yeah.
That is what Elliot Wolf said. That's the truth. So these people saying like it's done, he's gone. I'm like, whoa, stop.
Look, because the offensive line for this year is set. You have Will Campbell at left tackle, AVT at left guard. You have Jared Wilson at right guard, at center. Excuse me.
Yes.
Right guard is the one position I'm most confident in, because Michael Owenu has been their best offensive lineman for the last 4 or 5 seasons now. He's fine. But everyone's looking at it too, where it's like Morgan Moses is getting older. Okay, great, but you don't need to go and rush to get his replacement immediately.
Morgan Moses also played every game last season, despite that fear of it. Like, do I think that's, injury is always a risk with someone like that? But I tried in my mock drafts. What I try to do, I did 4 this year, is I try to space it out. I try to have it so every one is different. It offers a look at different picks. That being said, I did 4, and in 2 of them, I had them drafting an edge first. That is my hope. I think that you need to bring in an edge with that first round pick if you're not trading back. But it's also going to depend on the board. But based on what I'm seeing, I feel like the board's going to be tackle heavy up front in the first round. So those edges could be available.
The other position I'm on to is linebacker, also because Barth and I spoke on here a couple weeks ago. I'm really high on Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. I really like him. The college film is great. Mm-hmm. He fits that. Like, he's a player that if he were picked at 31, I think you'd see a lot of people mad. But he said it best, and I'm going to lean to Alex when it comes to a lot of my draft, your drafting stuff.
As one should.
That he's a player that you can plug and play right away and is going to make an impact on this Patriots team. The other player who I really like, but McGarvin sees as a backup plan, is Oscar Delp from Georgia.
I've had my eye on him, the tight end. Yeah.
I've had my eye on him. There's another guy. I think Stovers is his name from what's the school? Vanderbilt, and then there's also two. It's either Lawson Lucky or Lucky Lawson. He's from Georgia. He's a very beautiful story with one of his siblings. He stayed at Georgia because his sibling has a very serious condition. I don't want to get too much into it because it's college game day where they're like, it's like tomorrow night. If you watch, I don't know, I know you'll be at the stadium, but I don't know if you're ESPN, the ABC coverage, or the NFL Network coverage. But one of them is, hey, this kid got drafted. Now we're going to show you the most traumatic experience or traumatic story of his life. That's just what happens. That's just how the draft goes. I just think that tight end is a thing because if you think about it right now, I hate saying the guys either that are just younger than me or my age are getting older. I also found it weird today learning that you're older than Will Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
That if you look at him and then you look at I don't know how tall you are because I've only seen photos of you. I've never met you in person yet. Unless
6.
We got 5. Oh, okay, 5'6". I always thought I wasn't sure if you were more in like the 5, like 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", but now we know 5'6". Okay. And then you have him who's younger than you and who's like a 6'6" mammoth of a man. So
Oh yeah, no, it's very funny that it like you'd think I'd be the youngest in the locker room, and it's like, nope, I'm like middle of the pack at this point.
for all of us, you're soon gonna be 2000 but here's the thing though, tight end is that position. I know everyone's gonna look at like the defense. Austin Hooper's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Henry's getting older.
Mm-hmm.
You need I want to think they double dip. I don't think they do.
Probably a tight end.
Yeah,
I would.
no, I don't because look, the last time that happened, it turned out horrible.
Well, they also made tight end moves at free agency. They cut because I think if they were going to double dip, it would be if they didn't make those moves to get more of a. They need a receiving tight end, and then they need more of a blocking tight end. Well, they covered the blocking tight ends with their free agency acquisitions. Now you need that receiver.
Who's the tight end? I'm trying to remember who it was that they got.
They got. Oh my God, I'm having brain farts. This is what happens when you're in bed all day. Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Okay, yeah, because I'm trying to remember. And then the other question I had for you is
William Hill.
Oh yes, he's more of a special teamer. What does I'm trying to dissect, and I want your opinion on this. Why would they sign Reggie Gilliam and then they bring back Westover? What's going on there?
I don't know. The Gilliam signing was my favorite of free agency. I gotta be so for real. I love a fullback signing. And I like.
I'm here for a fullback dive. I'm here for a fullback dive.
I think that Westover's position moved to fullback, but you also do get a tight end, and you get that special teams help with him.
Fair.
Familiarity with the system as well. So that signing, I actually was kind of surprised when he wasn't. So the fact that they brought him back made a lot of sense to me. He was one they really liked him last year.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I just looked at that where I'm like, okay. But that's pretty much all we got from him. Just like we said too, I think he's thinking edge at 31. I think it's either going to be edge. I think it is going to be defense at 31. I do think tight ends day 2, like Oscar Delp, for example, he'll be available on Friday. I don't think he's going anywhere on there. The only other team though I could see them trading out though, because there's a lot of smoke to the fire of the Arizona Cardinals coming back for Ty Simpson, because I don't see any of the other teams doing it. So if Arizona wants to give you an early day 2 pick and you still think the player you want is going to be there, by all means.
I think it's less likely now though with Seattle. I think like Seattle's offer to trade out will be like, I don't know. I could see that happening more before the Patriots trade out.
It would also be more likely, I think, that he goes to the Rams if the Rams had kept their pick. That's something that I heard today through reports as well. But I just hate how you start to see, like, not casual NFL fans, but like casual draft people, how they'll come in and all of a sudden now and be like, oh, this year's draft, there's no hype to it. I'm just like, I feel like a draft class isn't as hyped up when the quarterback class in that draft is not as exciting.
Yes. It's all about the quarterback class. Like for us, we love football. So like we're looking at this. I will agree. I don't think this is the most star-studded draft class. This is the first time in a while, that, at least while I've been covering the team, that it's not really like that star potential draft class. But that being said, I think that this is also
there's gonna be a lot of good players to come out from this one.
There's just, it's going to be a lot of just those like diamond in the rough type players where it's like maybe they're not a star, but they have this, maybe it's not like this, they're not the Drake May, the Fernando Mendoza. Like, it's not that, but they're going to come in and they are going to be effective for each and every game of that season. And that's what matters. So it's also, it's filling those, trench positions that aren't flashy, but that are fun.
They're fun. They're fun. It's also too just there's gonna be a lot of big boys drafted tomorrow night because there's so many of them in the top 10. You got your Arvell Reeses, you got your Sonny Styles, you got David Bailey, who I think is going to be going to the Jets. That's the pretty much because I think really tomorrow night's going to be Fernando 1,
Yep.
Bailey 2, and then 3 is where it really gets exciting. I know everyone's saying, oh, Jeremiah, because I do think Jeremiah Love's probably going to be the best, like, from a fantasy standpoint, probably the best rookie this year for football, just for offensive production. Obviously, like you're saying, Fernando, but, like, there may be some room to grow, but I do think he's going to be a good pro. I just think Jeremiah Love's that guy that comes in right away and makes a difference. Although Arizona could take him, but I do think that's kind of a Saquon Giants move where you need a little more help there. Another player I want to point out through your mock draft, which I pulled up now, which two things I noticed. One, you changed your profile picture on Twitter for the first time in forever. The other one...
Well, I got yelled at by Kevin Stone today that I look 17 in my photo. So I changed it to I don't know. It was peer pressure.
I'm trying to remember who Kevin Stone... the name sounds familiar, but...
He's New England Football Journal. Covers the
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
But you had Cyrus Allen going 26 in second round at 202. Sixth round, 202, excuse me. And today, literally on a podcast where I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah, someone asked him, who's that, like, kind of guy? Daniel Jeremiah mentioned Cyrus Allen.
What can I say?
Yeah. But, like, the whole thing, like, hey, you're going to hear him on the draft night, go day 3. It's like, okay, he is undersized. But then you have that.
That's love an undersized receiver.
Who doesn't? But then you're going to hear him on Monday Night Football have like one game where he pops off for like, 6 receptions for like 115 yards and like a touchdown or 2 and just kind of go wild in that sense. But no, just going back to the draft though, like it's still going to be fun. Sadly for me, for the first time in forever, like I don't really have to compete with like playoff hockey in the draft, which is something I've had to deal with for the last 10 years. Don't this year. But for everyone out there still, like, look, it's still the spectacle. I love that it's 8-minute picks this year.
Beautiful.
And we get to get out there soon. By the way, his edges he's looking at is Keldrick Falk or TJ Parker. That's the 2 picks McGarvin was saying, and also like I was saying too, because Stower's probably is gonna be gone by 63, but I do think Delp could be there at 63. So that's kind of the hope with those two there.
I had Delp in was it my first one maybe? I think my first mock. I think I had Delp.
Yeah. There's one free agency move I want to talk to you about. I really think that Kevin Byard's a bigger upgrade over Jalen Hawkins. Jalen Hawkins was a great person to have in the locker room, but I think overall Kevin Byard's going to be a better football player.
I think the resume speaks for itself on that one. I would agree. The only thing with Jalen Hawkins is that the familiarity possibly could have meant like a longer term deal. With Kevin, he's only on a 1-year deal. So that's just what scares me a little bit there is like if you're not going to re-sign him or depending on what happens, like you have that big hole once again next year to address. Whereas I felt like with Jalen, you probably could have come to like 2-3, even like a 4-year deal if like the money was right. But skill-wise, I would agree. You're just getting a very talented, established. I'm trying to talk and there's noises. You're getting a very established safety. Notice how it started right up when I started talking again. I think that was planned. It's someone that's going to make an impact on defense, and it's also someone that you're bringing up the level of that secondary.
Yeah.
Too. Like you already have Christian Gonzalez, you have Carlton Davis, and now you throw Kevin Byard in there. I'm like, whew, that's a scary secondary. So it's already scary last year. I think it's even more scary now.
But going back to the wide receiver room, though, so we're talking about all these players, like, the potential A.J. Brown thing, Kyle Williams going up. Do you remember last year when we were all breaking stuff down and somebody made a bet about a certain receiver who hasn't been spoken about yet?
I do not.
That would be McGarvin with a Mac Hollins kind of comp.
Oh, yes.
Where does he fit in all this?
That's an interesting one, actually, because I think that like we even look at last year. I don't know like if anyone really had this like this is where Matt Collins fits in, but yet he made a role for himself in every game, and I kind of see it in that way where he's someone that you can kind of plug and play.
Yeah.
Or like depending on how the game begins or how things are looking, you can throw him kind of in anywhere to make an impact. Also, you're losing Stephon Diggs in the middle of the field. Diggs was really big there. If you get a big body guy like Matt Collins in there to make some plays, that'll be huge and that'll help alleviate losing Diggs in that role. I like that move. So no, I think Matt Collins is going to have a role somewhere. And hit the chemistry with Drake speaks for itself. Like they've been playing together. I know also I think Mac's been training with a lot of the guys this offseason.
They, they have been. They have been. I saw some of the stuff. I also noticed Drake was in Tokyo at one point. My parents also went to Tokyo about a month ago, and I told them, please find Drake. They instead found a super fan from Boston who was also looking for Drake, so no luck.
That's hilarious.
Yes, although she did have some of the similar foods to what Ann Michael had from the 7-Eleven there. So, going back to Drake though, just because look, bald head aside, I just think that's like the next career. That's his next like. Let's use the word era because we got to keep it appropriate for you. I don't look at last season. I know everyone likes to say, oh, the schedule, oh, this, oh, the Super Bowl, he couldn't get it done. I look at every single playoff game beforehand and compare it to the Super Bowl in the sense of this. LA, he needed to make a play. What did he do? He had that beautiful cross-shoulder fade to Hunter Henry in the back of the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston game is still the loss that irks me. The Houston win irks me the most because that entire week we had to hear how this Houston defense is the 85 Bears. They're going to make Drake May look silly. And while, yes, they did give him some trouble, Drake still threw some for 3 touchdowns, including a beautiful dime in the right corner of the end zone to Kayshon Boutte. But my favorite play still was in that AFC Championship game on 3rd and 6. A fun fact, he's like some horrendous numbers on 3rd and 6. I don't know where it comes from, but it's a thing. He runs one in and seals the game. I just think in the Super Bowl, look, it had nothing to do with the schedule. It had nothing to do with anything else.
It was experience versus inexperience. That's how I've been describing the Super Bowl. Is you had veterans versus a young team, and it showed in that Super Bowl. But that loss should never discount anything that the Patriots did. You can talk about the schedule all you want, but when the
There's
Patriots
one win on the schedule that still pisses me off because people like to discredit that loss now, and that's the Buccaneers game, which I still think was one of the best offensive games of the year.
It was a beautiful game by the Patriots. I remember that one. I mean, the Bills game, it was just, a one-off. Buccaneers game, like every win, even amongst this easy schedule, when they played a top opponent, they were winning.
Baltimore.
That's just, I agree, is one of the biggest things to me that pisses me off is it's like, it's also just the hate for the Patriots that's always going to come is no one wants to admit that the Patriots have something with Drake May. And that's a big thing is that, you have all these Patriots fans being like, oh my God, like the chosen one and all this. And it's like, you have to remember 31 other teams in the NFL are like, are you kidding me? We have to go through this shit again. So it's an easy team to hate. And that's where that is coming from. But a team that's strictly winning games based off their schedule doesn't make it to the Super Bowl.
Yep, it's just the Texans game. Like the only one I really give credit for, is the Broncos game. I think there's a chance. Yeah, maybe they lose. Yeah, maybe. But
the weather played an impact on that. But you gotta play. She was there. I was there. But you have to play to your conditions, and one team did, and one team didn't.
And I was in like this just for clarity too, because like I don't know if you know something. I was in like the complete opposite of the weather that was in Denver, Colorado. But I was still in all places in Miami Dolphins country, I find a place called the Village Grill that's literally all Boston.
Oh my God.
All Boston. There was a guy dressed in like a Patriots Pope outfit. The people next to me were from New Hampshire and just It was all Patriots fans, and they played Sweet Caroline very, very loud after that game was done. And I will send you a photo to where, basically, I can't read the back of the text, but McGarvin's just like, you can see the excitement in your face, and I was just like, this is taken after the win. And then like people are like that whole area, like people like high fiving me and stuff, like they see the jersey, and it was just it's just that was like the peak. But then unfortunately, Griffins had to experience 4 terrible losses for championship games over the last 6 months. So ask me how I'm doing mentally, sports wise. Um, but no, when I look at Drake, I just look at a guy where it's like you said too, there's a lot of hate, there's all that stuff there. But we get to be big brother again because little brother decides, hey, for some reason, like Bills fans bring up the wild card game like it's their Super Bowl, and yet someone brought that up because Josh Allen was at the Sabres Bruins playoff game last night. Bills fans decide to tack on the whole, oh, he had the perfect game against the Patriots, and someone literally responds with a tweet of just Drake in Super Bowl media day and circles the patch right here, and it's just like, that's it. The other thing with Drake too is just the fact that look,
Nessen's repost of Josh Allen doing the thing last night and saying like, "Are you sure you want to bring Josh Allen out for the playoffs?" I mean, you had to chuckle. It was a little funny. That trolling was pretty funny.
You had to as well, but would I love to go to a playoff game in that building right now? Absolutely.
Oh gosh.
As I'm watching one of the great, well, very intense, like there's 4 guys in each penalty box in this Pittsburgh Philadelphia game. The big thing with Drake too is the fact that we went from a quarterback who was in the superstar limelight to just like a simple Southern guy whose wife likes to bake on the internet. You know, we have that massive thing there. I feel like one day too we need to have you actually meet the first lady of
I know.
the first lady.
Okay, well, I need some recipes. I'm a big I love to bake. Need some
Who
recipes.
doesn't? It's even me too, as someone who has rotting bananas upstairs and needs to make muffins out of them. But no, the big thing I look at with this team going into 2026 is the schedule going to be harder? Yes. But are they going to lose some games and people are going to try to flip that narrative? Yes. I've been saying all along this is going to be a better team, but they're going to have a worse record. And what I mean by that, last year my ceiling was always, hey, 8 to 10. Because if I had said 14-3, people were going to use words that I'm not going to repeat on air for obvious reasons that go a little bit beyond the usual cursing we do on this show. But I said this to Alex a couple weeks ago. I think this team's like between them and Buffalo, I think it's going to be win between 10 to 13 games. And those 2 games are going to make the difference. Because going to next year, people can say this, is this team under pressure? Yes. I think as long as they're a team, and I've said this how long since Brady era ended, just get back to being a relevant playoff contender, and I'm happy. They don't have to be in the Super Bowl every single year. They don't have to go on this Kansas City goofy chase. No, they don't need to. Because let's be honest with you, when you look at the AFC as a whole landscape for next year, you've got, even though he's going to be back, and I'm sorry, but your favorite singer's fiance is borderline. He's not even borderline. He should retire. That's the stance I've had. Nothing against him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but watching him against running some of those routes against corners last year, he's getting chewed up in coverage. But they lost their whole defense, and I still don't know what to think about them. I don't buy the Denver Broncos at all. I'm sorry. I know everyone likes to say they would have beaten us with the healthy Bo Nix. Look, they got extremely lucky last year. If you look at they got lucky compared to us. Oh, so many one-win games. No, one score, your record in one-score games. That flips on a dime on a yearly basis. You have the Chargers. I still think the Texans will be okay. I still think the Jags will be okay. There's a lot of pressure with Sam's Ravens this year, just all things considered.
Don't get me started. I'm all allowed to talk about him. I had my comments on the Max Crosby situation. I got in trouble, so I now don't talk about the Ravens.
Okay, fair enough. And then you also have, the Bengals making this crazy move for Dexter Lawrence. So it really is open season. And we haven't even mentioned Buffalo yet. But you have so many more teams I think I just mentioned who are under more pressure to win because it's, hey, Baltimore, you have to get over the hump. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati, it's you got to do something this year. Otherwise, the band's breaking up.
Well, you also have to prove, that you just can't. I have a problem with Cincinnati, to be honest with you. And I've had this problem, I think, throughout it all, which is that they bank on having just 2 or 3 star players, and they think that that's enough to propel them every year. And it's just it's not, even this Dexter Lawrence trade, like I thought it was the craziest thing when I read it that they gave up. I have a friend who's a diehard Giants fan, and I called him the minute that trade came through, and I've never seen someone so excited to lose a player, because he was just like, the guy had 0.5 sacks last season. We got 10th overall for him.
And now the Giants hold, like, look, I get why the Bengals made the trade. I get it. You need a run stopper. Your run defense was.
I get it, but it was too steep of a price.
Oh, it was. It was. But here's the thing, though. It was, hey, we at 10 are probably not going to get the player of Dexter Lawrence. So let's go instead of pick at 10, which, fun fact, this is the first time, I believe, since 1989 that the Cincinnati Bengals will not have a first-round selection.
Mm.
Fun fact of the day. I could have done that with trivia for you, but I feel like you would have just gotten mad at me.
I would not have done that, so I would have definitely gotten mad at you.
But then now you have a Giants flip side with it, where they are a team who I never hope do well again. That's just the thing. Like, look, they're just a team that like live in infamy sorrow. Like Seattle, no, like, look, we got a Super Bowl over you. Giants, you got 2 on us, so that's why. So you could be miserable for the next 20 years, and I wouldn't care. But you now have a team in the Giants where they hold a lot of keys where they can prevent teams from moving up. If there's a player that starts to fall that someone really likes, they can dangle 5, they can dangle 10. I do think, though, they make both picks. That's the big thing. But tying this all back to New England, though, and Buffalo, and I know everyone's going to say, oh, they're waiting to fall down. I'm sorry. If you want to bet some money on it, go bet the Patriots over and wins. 9.5 right now is the line. DraftKings has it at 9.5. I'm not here saying bet them to win the Super Bowl, because I believe they're plus 1,600 right now. But this is a team that I definitely think, when you look at who's in the AFC and already who's probably not going to be good, like, I'll say this. The Dolphins are probably going to be really bad. I don't think people are ready for probably how bad they're going to be. They're one Devon Achane trade away from being like the 2024 New England Patriots. I'm not kidding when I say that. I know you had to cover that team.
I did have to cover that team.
And I know a radio station in Boston almost called you out for doing that your aunt loves to listen to. So that's right. I support Friends. I support Friends on here. That interview came on, and I listened to it. The Jets either are going to be the Jets, or they're going to be, and I'm not here to say sneaky good in the sense of they're going to make the playoffs, but that thorn in your side. The thorn in your side.
They could compete. I agree. I think Miami could potentially be the worst team in the AFCs. And if you've seen the Jets over the last few seasons, you know that's saying a lot.
But like when I'm saying the Jets, I'm saying like, win 6 games, show progress, like lose some games, but then like the Jets that we saw like week 1 against the Steelers, the one where you had Aaron Glenn doing that like strut down the sideline against the Buccaneers. I think if we see that Jets out of the gate, they'll be fine. If you see the Jets that are struggling and look lifeless, kind of like the Patriots team that whooped them right after Christmas, then that's when change will happen there. Because I actually want to tie into a trivia question to see if you got this.
Oh, God.
I got one. I got one because it's fun. It's fun. Okay. Which current coach is the highest drafted player out of all the coaches that played in the NFL? The only hint I'll give you is we have brought up this team on tonight's show.
You brought up every team on tonight's show.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
What?
It's Aaron Glenn.
Damn.
That's why I asked it, because that was also my ADD brain kicked in. But I'm just like, it literally. I'm like, because we just talked about him. I'm like, maybe she'll get it, but then she's just like,
no.
Her like the
La La Land is here.
Her brain is braining right now, but no. So that's my take on the Jets. I think they're going to be pesky, but I don't think they're going to be. They'll be kind of like what the Jets of a few years ago were under Robert Saleh. Where like the year when they lost Aaron Rodgers, they still managed to be halfway decent. Yeah. Hell, they beat the Patriots that year in a game where we had to hear for 3 hours. Is Bill Belichick going to retire? Is this his last game? What's going on with Bill Belichick? Well, it turned out it was, and that's when Sophie and I started talking. But no, just to tie this all back to New England, though, I really think people think that Buffalo can easily win the division. I don't think so. I think it's really going to come down to just what team can have the better defense, and also for Josh's case, because we've seen this with the Patriots this year. The defense has lockdown games for them. Baltimore's a perfect example. Did Caleb Von Chase not have the punch out, or did he have the recovery? I'm trying to remember that. I think he had the punch out on Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Defense needed to play. They won them the game. I feel like in the Josh Allen and that era of Bills football, you haven't seen too many games where the defense has won them or secured them a victory. It's always been, hey guys, it's like how you're saying with Cincinnati. They're like, we're going to rely on Josh Allen to be awesome because they could have won that Broncos game, but that defense let Denver drive down the field late in the fourth quarter to take that 30-27 lead. Josh was careless of the football right before half. And you have a team now in Buffalo as well where it's, hey, you're moving into a new stadium. You have a new head coach. There's a lot of pressure for them to get over the hump. I know, like, for them, they'll be like, oh, it is what it is. No, for them, they have the pressure. Meanwhile, New England, I don't know if there's going to be, I think there's going to be more local pressure, by pundits like people at Pat's Wire, people at other outlets, mainly Pat's Wire is going to put a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, obviously.
But I don't think the national media is going to be on them as much as they are for other teams. I feel like, when you see these lists of which teams are under pressure to win this year, I feel like more people are going to be saying, the Bengals, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs. Those are the teams in the AFC that I think are going to be under more pressure. Hell, I would put Houston in there because I had a thought. If you Frankenstein the Houston Texans defense and the Cincinnati Bengals offense, that is the best team in football right now. And if you did the opposite, where you did the Houston Texans offense and the Cincinnati Bengals defense, that is the worst team in football. So you're welcome for today's science lesson, kids. But no, just like with New England, though, like I think if you look at a season this year where even like if you look at last year, they got off to a bit of a slow start, but then we spoke right after that Carolina game, and we're like, because this is how it went for me last season. The Carolina game was, hey, this team's going to be fun. Buffalo was, hey, this team can hang. They can compete with anyone. They were plus 7.5.
There was that 3-game stretch of completely different emotions.
They made Chris Collinsworth chuckle.
Yeah. You have the Steelers.
I never forget that when Drake did that. And you hear I watch that from time to time just to make me smile, by the way.
The Steelers loss had me thinking, oh my God, I have to do this again. I have to cover this again.
No, Sophie, you're banned. We're removing your credential.
Literally. Panthers was like, oh, okay, so they can take advantage, as Mike said, of that bad football of like, they can go out there. And then that Bills game, oh no, this team has something. It was 3 games of 3 completely different emotions.
But for me, though, when everything clicked, though, was that Buccaneers game where I'm like,
yes, I
agree. That's where I was like, they got something here. Because even 2 weeks later, the Bengals game, I remember hearing people, this is them. It was Tom Curran. This is them. And I know I've said some stuff on here before. I know I wasn't always to like him, but I've really much warmed up to him. He's got a lot of great opinions. But that Bengals game was the one where it's like, hey, this is them at their worst. But the second Bills game, I know everyone likes to look at the game. Oh, the Patriots are frauds. See, we beat their winning streak. I'm sorry. I don't think anyone's stopping Josh Allen on that day. I think he's that quarterback that once he gets going, you're not stopping him. You have to make him.
Josh Allen is an elite quarterback. He is one. He is probably the quarterback I would fear most facing in all of the NFL.
Yep.
He is in the best possible way, and I mean this as a compliment. He is terrifying. The skill he also has this innate ability to just put the game on his shoulders and win the game for his team. Like I've outside of some Patriots moments in history, I've never seen anything quite like that. And he is one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. As much as, from a Patriots perspective, you hate the guy.
Yes.
You can't help but marvel at the talent he has. And so I would agree with you. And I think that's why there will always, the Bills will always be the favorites to win the AFC East. It won't matter because they have Josh Allen. They're going to hold that favorite kind of title, but they now have competition. It's not so easy for them anymore. And I think that's what's important. On your topic of national media scrutiny, I think you'll lose a few here and there. It's not going to be the main focus, but if the Patriots start falling and losing more than they should, then it's going to be like, well, what happened? You had last season, you made it to the Super Bowl, and now what's going on? Like, that's where that scrutiny is going to come in. But if you're dropping 1 or 2 here where you still had a good game, but few mistakes and this other team just played better, and that's that, then I agree that there's going to be a bigger focus on other teams in the league.
like I just think that they're gonna have a couple games, where it's like, hey, they're not. What's going on with the? It's like what's going on with what's going on with New England? Like if they have some losses here, because if you look at their schedule for next year, like they play the NFC North.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, those teams, there are some good teams, but none of them scare me. AFC West, I know 15's lurking, but look, he's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Denver Broncos, there's going to be major regression there. I just think that there's a world with like that team where it's like that division too, where it's even the Chargers, even with a healthy offensive line. I like what happens. I think we just bully Justin Herbert less, and the defense is still the defense there.
Agreed.
With the first place schedule the Patriots have, they got the Seahawks, they got the Steelers, and the Jags. Buffalo's second place schedule is the Texans, Ravens, and Rams. I would rather ours. What about that?
Steelers, yes, agreed. Listen, there's no denying that this is a hard schedule. I'm looking at this and I'm just like, outside of maybe one or two games, nothing's going to be a cakewalk for them. But that just brings me back that's good football. That makes me excited. I don't want an easy schedule. I don't want to, them walking all over teams. Like I want good football where you can hone in on the skills, where you can see not just Drake, but you can, for football nerds that just can, look at the offensive line. Oh, did you see that block? Things of that nature. Like, it's just, you're looking for that full 60 minutes of play.
Yeah.
And that is what this season is going to be. That is what this season is going to come down to. And that should be exciting.
It's going to be.
The Patriots have a team that you can look at these games and there's not one that I would say, well, that's a loss. That's a loss. That's a loss. Every single one of these games is winnable.
Yep.
Every single one with the skill that they have on that roster. It's going to be whether they can put it together.
With the schedule, I have a couple takes for you. Or not a couple takes. I have a couple of opinions, and I want to see you get yours. You're going to hate me because we talked off camera about this, but the season opener. Okay. I think I know where it. There's one place I know. I hope to God it's not, and that's at Seattle on that Wednesday night in September.
Yeah, I
don't want that. A spot I could see it being is week 1. They go to California to play the Chargers in that like 4:25, Jim and Tony CBS spot. Like I can't see it being the opener for Sunday Night Football, especially with Buffalo getting their new stadium. I feel like that when Buffalo opens that stadium, it's going to be NBC.
It's going to be Sunday Night Football.
That the other two takes I have, and one you're going to hate me for both. I think there's a strong chance they either play on Thanksgiving or they play on Christmas Day. I think there's a strong chance that both happen.
I think they play on Thanksgiving in Detroit. How's that?
That is great, because if that does happen, there is a strong chance that Mr. who lives 3 hours from Detroit would probably, as long as ticket prices aren't insane, would try to go to that game. Because I still say this, even though I'm only an hour and a half from Buffalo, I would rather go to Detroit because I would just feel safer as a fan overall. And I would say, oh, but it's Detroit. No, I would feel safer as a fan in Detroit to watch a great game on Thanksgiving at 12:30 in the afternoon as opposed to going to Buffalo, especially now that the rivalry's back and they hate us again. But that's just my opinion on it.
On Christmas Day.
But it's better though than me saying, hey, they're gonna go. You have to go over to Europe again. I'm thinking about you and your finances.
Well, they might be going to Europe again. I just don't know if I'm going to Europe again.
I don't think it's Jacksonville because they did that 2 years ago. I don't think they're going to run that back so soon. And the only other option is the Lions. But I think from an NFL standpoint, I think you do that game Thanksgiving.
I agree. But I also think that Jacksonville Patriots, it would be a draw. Like it's not. It's because you have Drake. Don't forget, like going international, and it's especially like. I just think. You got the international games in recent years have been even when the Patriots were sent over there. Like
they've been bad.
These poor fans want to see like some quality football, and you have the Patriots Colts playing a 6-0 in Germany. You
were there, right?
Let's not talk about that. I was so mad. I was like,
this is before we were internet friends. I have to say internet friends because obviously we haven't met in person yet. So.
When I watched that game, and I think that was one. Yeah, I believe so. Sam came with me on that trip, and he like went to the game, and I'm just texting him, and I was like, I mean, I'm sorry, like you had to pay for your ticket. Like I'm here with press, but like he went as a fan. I was like, I'm so sorry. I mean, the experience itself is unmatched. football in Europe fans are it's so much fun. But no, I remember that game. I was like, how much? No, we wouldn't, it was funny. But no, I could see like if you're really trying to get a good game in there, doing Jacksonville Patriots simply and also don't forget Patriots do have a lot of international fans.
Yeah, so I do agree with that. I just think that's a game they put in America because that could be a potential primetime game. Like,
I don't disagree.
Like Thursday night, or like CBS might pony up a little bit of money for it. As for me, like, because I have all intents of coming down to Boston this year for a game in October, I really hope I get a 4:25 kick. That's my main goal because I think there's gonna be more of those this year.
Probably.
You get to sleep in a little bit more in the morning, work a little
I
bit
actually
later.
prefer the 1 o'clocks. From a coverage standpoint of just like a full day, I prefer a 1 o'clock to cover.
Not me thinking like, hey, we wake up, we have breakfast, we chill, you go to the
I'm
locker.
not talking about like when you're here. I'm just talking about like in general.
I know. Let me manifest my destiny. But I understand where you're coming from, though, because then you'd probably be back home by what, Sunday Night Football?
I can catch Sunday Night Football. That's also part of it, is I'm home for like most of Sunday Night Football. If it's a 1 o'clock, I can.
Fair. Well, you know what? Since obviously, and I've already kind of got him to agree to do this, hopefully that we can run it back once the schedule comes out, which they haven't announced yet, but I feel like they'll say something either tomorrow or soon. Last I heard, I think it's the week of May 11th, so probably in like 3 weeks we'll find out.
Wow.
But obviously by then throughout the day the leaks start to come out, and like pretty much by the time the schedule comes out, everyone has an idea of what it is. So I feel like out of every major sport, the NFL is the one where it's like other leagues like NHL, NBA. Here's the schedule. Hey, enjoy it. MLB. Hey, it's July. Here's all of next year. But with the NFL, it's hey, we're going to announce these games on Monday. Tuesday, it's going to be this network. Wednesday, it's going to be this network. And by the time Thursday at 8 o'clock rolls around, it's official now, and all teams show their like animations or their fun creative videos, and obviously the Chargers win it every year. But I do think that there is that that there is just that whole, hey, the whole day is just spent of everyone online being like, are these leaks real? Are these leaks fake? What's going on here? What's going on there?
I lost you for a minute there. Sorry.
I thought you froze for a second because you're just like.
I did. I couldn't hear what yeah.
Basically, I was just saying with the schedule, how you get the world of just everyone knows by the time when the schedule comes out what the schedule is for every team.
All games. All the leaks and stuff.
Don't want to take up too much of your time, so I got one more question for you. Obviously not sponsored by anyone. I'm not that cool yet. What's a draft take you would like to see come true? Or, just something with the draft you're hoping that happens from a New England standpoint?
I would say there's some good ones. I think that I want to see them get some additional help on the offensive line, but I don't want to see it necessarily the first round unless the board is falling that way. I still would like to go edge. I also think that there's some true talent locally this year. Like the work that was put in at BC Pro Day, even I mocked the UConn quarterback in that last pick. Like, I think that there's some real potential in this local class that I wouldn't be surprised to see some guys end up on the Patriots. And I think it could work well, especially the BC guys. I always think could work out really well with the Patriots simply because you have the Bill O'Brien to Mike Vrabel pipeline of just you're going from two coaches, one that know each other really well.
Yeah.
But that also just like a little similar in their styles. And, Bill's going to be able to go to Mike and be like, here's a guy. I think, I don't know. That's kind of, I have some local guys on my radar that I think could really make an impact for the Pats this year, or at least be fun to watch in training camp. Not necessarily in season, but that could put up some interesting highlight reels in training camp.
Yes, because if I remember correctly, so OTAs are done tomorrow or Friday.
What do you mean?
Like, because I know they've been working out all week with OTAs, which I feel like is more just like them doing some drills on the field, and then it's mostly just physical work, correct?
No, this is just voluntary. So this continues. Voluntary keeps going.
Oh, okay. It's just they all kind of
program continues, and then OTAs. Rookie minicamp will be May 8th to May 10th. For the Pats, and media will get availability for one day of that, and then OTAs begin on May 27th.
Yes, and then I believe mandatory minicamp is like June 9th, 10th,
15th 15th to 17th.
Oh, it's a little bit later this year. Okay, and then
They're later.
And then basically from June 17th to like July 24th or 5th.
That's like their summer vacation, I call it.
Basically, Sophie gets to breathe.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing to talk about in that time too. It's so funny. It's like that's you talk about like this being the dead period of football. I think there's at least like some stuff going on with because there's still like moves being made.
Yeah,
the period from the end of mandatory minicamp to the start of training camp is the dead of all dead periods in the NFL, in my opinion.
Oh, no, that's a true dead period. I mean right now, like, dead period, I mean in the sense right now, like, yes, there is stuff going on, but it's all minor, that's why I say, for the most part, it's draft prep or people finding stories. That's why I feel like, this whole Mike Vrabel stuff breaking during, like, at this time was, like, obviously, like, we don't know what happened. We're not going on speculating, just, it's the worst time that something like that could have happened because it's all you can talk about, but after tomorrow, you get to see 250 plus lives change forever. Even if they don't ever pan out and make it, they have that moment of saying, "Hey, I was drafted into the NFL," and that's awesome.
I love the draft.
We all do. And then I guess for you, you're at Gillette probably for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Oh, nothing Friday.
Most of the week.
No dog adoption. No, none of that. I know you already have the one dog.
We'll still be talking to Braves and Elliot and all that after certain picks, but only one day in person for draft.
So it's in person. Would it be tomorrow? And I guess Friday afternoon they'll do the press conference of introducing the round 1 pick, and then it'll be Zoom.
Well, it's 31, so I don't know if they're going to do like a big thing. Honestly, we don't know much about what's going to happen with any of that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
We just know our plan is to be. There is a draft event though on Saturday.
Yes, with the puppies.
Obviously, people should go. There's puppies. If you aren't going, why not? There's puppies. So
exactly the adoption for the dogs. That's why I was asking you. Hey, if you add another one to the family, but I know you have your dog seems like a one of one.
That's why I might not go, is because I will leave with the dog, and I can't afford that.
It's all fun. But it was really fun to get to run it back with you. Hopefully, we're not waiting almost 4 months to do this again. Nope.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, it was July, but like I said, so here's what happened. After the Super Bowl, I was off until the end of March.
Yeah.
But at the end of March is when we tried to get you back on, and at that time you sounded like you liked Marlboro Reds, so we kind of let you go. We said no.
That was when my month of being sick began.
I showed that video to McGarvin as well. I not showed him because there's nothing but we can hear you, and I literally was just like this, and he's just like, "Yep, let her be." But no, that's gonna do it, everybody. 426 of these episodes in the bag. You know what? Tell a friend to tell a friend. She's back. Continue to follow at Sophie Weller, 2 E's, 2 R's. I'm supposed to say I'm Sophie. She's Sophie. I'm Griff. Enjoy the draft tomorrow night. Go Pats, and let's see what happens. But you know what? Enjoy the draft.